Beloved seeker, on the spiritual path, many imagine that Kundalini awakening is marked by dramatic visions, intense physical sensations, or miraculous powers. We have been conditioned to believe that divine experiences must arrive with grandeur, like lightning striking the soul. But in truth, the most sacred movements of divine energy happen in silence, in subtlety, and in such quiet ways that even sincere seekers often overlook them. The path of inner awakening is delicate, like the blooming of a lotus beneath still waters. Kundalini, the dormant spiritual energy coiled at the base of your spine, awakens not through force or external rituals alone, but through purity, devotion, and deep inner stillness. And when she stirs, her earliest signs are so gentle that unless your awareness is keen, you will miss them. In my years of meditation and guiding disciples, I have witnessed how often aspirants ignore these precious hints of inner progress, waiting instead for signs that match their imagined expectations. But dear one, the soul's journey is not a loud proclamation, it is a secret whisper from the infinite. If you learn to recognize these subtle signs, you will walk with greater confidence on your path. It is not the intensity of outer experience but the depth of inner transformation that matters. And so, today, let us quietly uncover 5 hidden signs of Kundalini awakening that you might be experiencing without even knowing. I invite you to listen with a quiet heart and an open spirit, for sometimes, what you seek so anxiously in the future may already be unfolding gently within you in this very moment. Come, let us embark on this sacred exploration together. Dear one, the seat of Kundalini lies at the base of the spine, in a subtle center known to yogis as the Muladhara chakra. In deep meditations, or even during moments of inward stillness, the first stirrings of this divine power are felt here, not as intense shocks or fiery currents, but often as a soft warmth, a faint tingling, or a gentle vibration. This sensation arises without any physical cause, and for many seekers, it is so delicate that it passes unnoticed, mistaken for some minor bodily feeling. But understand this, my child, when life force begins to withdraw from the senses and gather inward, the sacred fire begins to rise from its dormant state. These subtle vibrations are signals that your prana, your vital energy, is awakening and attempting to ascend the central spiritual pathway, the Sushumna Nadi. It may feel like a flicker, like a cool breeze, or as though something is softly pulsing at the base of your spine. Most seekers dismiss it, thinking it to be a random physical twitch or posture adjustment. But those who have cultivated inner awareness through meditation recognize it as a sacred sign. When you feel this sensation, do not cling to it, nor chase after it. Instead, observe it with calm detachment and allow it to unfold naturally. For Kundalini is a shy goddess, she rises best in humility and purity of heart, not in restlessness or ambition. Yogananda would often remind his disciples, pay attention to the silent language of the soul. Divine energy moves where awareness rests. The wise seeker learns to notice such signs and walks the path with patient reverence, trusting the slow, secret rise of the divine current within. Beloved seeker, one of the most precious and often ignored signs of Kundalini's awakening is the spontaneous rising of inner bliss, a subtle, uncaused joy that wells up within your heart for no worldly reason. It may arise when you are seated in meditation, walking quietly under the trees, or even while performing simple daily duties. Without warning, a gentle wave of peace may descend upon you, and for a brief moment, the restless chatter of the mind falls silent. This stillness is not the ordinary calmness one feels after resolving a problem or achieving a desire. It is a divine stillness, a taste of the soul's natural state, where time seems to slow down and the world's noise fades into the background. Many seekers overlook these sacred moments, brushing them aside as mood swings or emotional phases. But wise ones recognize them as the tender footsteps of Kundalini as she rises through the subtle channels of the spine. Yogananda often said, "The joy you are seeking lies within you, not in outward things." The soul knows its own bliss, and when it begins to remember, it sends these glimpses of heaven to awaken you. If, dear one, you have ever felt a sudden sweetness of spirit, a quiet rapture without cause, know that it is a sign the inner energy is moving. Do not seek to hold it or question it. Simply surrender to its presence, and let it deepen of its own accord. These unexplainable moments of peace are far more valuable than 1,000 outer achievements, for they reveal the doorway to your immortal nature. Watch for them, honor them, and allow your heart to open quietly in their presence. Dear seeker, as the Kundalini begins to rise, your inner perception subtly sharpens. You may notice a sudden, unexplainable sensitivity, not in your outer senses alone, but in the very fabric of your awareness. Places you once visited without thought may now feel heavy or restless. Crowded, noisy environments might exhaust you. The emotions of others begin to touch you more deeply. Even a harsh word or an unkind glance seems to stir something within you far more than it once did. This is not a sign of weakness, beloved, but an indication that your subtle body is awakening. The dormant channels of prana, the vital life force, are being cleansed. As this happens, you become more attuned to the invisible energies that surround and fill every being. You sense heaviness where there is fear, radiance where there is love, and peace in the presence of nature and spiritually charged places. Many seekers confuse this with emotional imbalance, but it is a natural stage of spiritual awakening. Yogananda would lovingly remind his disciples, when the soul begins to awaken, it feels the vibrations of the world more sharply, and learns to seek refuge in the peace of the spirit. If you are finding yourself drawn to silence, to the natural world, to solitude, while growing increasingly disinterested in loud, restless, or superficial gatherings, it is a sacred sign. It means your inner being is adjusting to higher frequencies, and the soul desires the company of purity, simplicity, and truth. Honor this sensitivity. Nurture it with meditation, pure food, kind company, and truthful speech. Over time, it will stabilize, and what once felt overwhelming will transform into a calm, steady awareness, one that can lovingly witness both the darkness and light in the world without being disturbed. Beloved soul, as Kundalini begins her sacred ascent within you, one of the most precious gifts she offers is the awakening of inner guidance, a quiet, mysterious voice that speaks from the depths of your being. This is not the voice of your restless thoughts or passing emotions. It is the subtle whisper of intuition, the direct language of the soul, untouched by the noisy mind. You may notice it as a sudden knowing without reason. At times, you might feel drawn away from certain people, situations, or choices, without logical cause, yet with an unmistakable inner certainty. Or perhaps you receive a clear insight about a decision, a danger, or a hidden truth before it reveals itself in the outer world. In my own path and in guiding seekers, I have seen how this inner compass quietly strengthens as Kundalini rises. Yogananda would often remind us, the soul has its own voice. And when the restless senses grow still, its wisdom shines forth like a silent sun. Many seekers dismiss these subtle hints, mistaking them for coincidence or imagination. But dear one, the awakened energy within you stirs your deepest awareness. Your consciousness becomes attuned to the finer vibrations of truth that lie beneath surface appearances. If you feel this quiet guidance within, whether in meditation, dreams, or sudden wakeful clarity, learn to listen. Do not rush to declare it or act without discernment, but gently test it in silence. The more you honor it, the stronger and clearer it becomes. This growing intuition is not a fantasy, it is the soul's rightful power returning to you as Kundalini purifies the inner pathways. Trust it with humility, and it will lead you, step by step, back to your immortal self. Dear one, a gentle but unmistakable sign of Kundalini's awakening is the quiet withdrawal from worldly attachments and lower desires, not by force, but through the natural blossoming of inner fulfillment. As the sacred energy begins to ascend within you, what once seemed essential, alluring, or irresistible gradually loses its hold. The pleasures of the senses, the need for constant validation, the restless chase for possessions or titles, they begin to appear hollow, like shadows without substance. This shift happens silently, without external effort. You may notice that conversations once exciting now feel empty. Temptations that earlier tugged at your will no longer disturb you. The joy found in simple things, a sunrise, a moment of silence, a sincere prayer, begins to surpass the fleeting happiness of outer achievements. Yogananda beautifully expressed this truth. When you drink from the inner fountain of divine joy, the thirst for lesser pleasures fades away on its own. Many seekers misunderstand this stage, fearing it to be emotional numbness or detachment from life. But it is, in fact, a deepening of life itself. The soul begins to remember its immortal nature, and the light of higher joy outshines the dim lamps of fleeting pleasures. If you find yourself no longer clinging to old habits, unhealthy attachments, or restless ambitions, rejoice quietly. It is a sacred sign that Kundalini is lifting your consciousness, freeing you from the chains of lower nature. Do not resist this gentle detachment, nor boast of it. Simply witness it with gratitude, and let it unfold naturally. As your inner energy purifies your being, you will discover a deeper love for life itself, not in clinging, but in freedom, in simplicity, and in quiet communion with the divine within. Beloved seeker, among the most sacred and least understood signs of Kundalini's awakening is the natural calming, and at times, complete cessation of breath during deep meditation. This is not something you force upon yourself. It happens spontaneously, as the life force, or prana, begins to withdraw from the senses and move inward through the central spiritual channel, the Sushumna Nadi. In ordinary life, your breath moves restlessly, mirroring the agitation of the mind and emotions. But when Kundalini stirs and begins her subtle ascent, the mind grows still, the senses withdraw, and the breath slows, often to the point where it seems to pause for brief moments. In those rare, blessed moments, you feel a profound stillness, a state where time, body, and thought seem to disappear. Yogananda would often tell his disciples, the breath is the cord that ties the soul to the body. When it pauses naturally, the soul begins to taste its freedom. This is why great yogis, in the highest states of samadhi, remain breathless for hours, immersed in cosmic bliss. Even in the early stages of awakening, you may occasionally experience this during meditation, a moment where your breath halts without effort, and you feel neither the need to inhale nor exhale. It is a sacred sign that Kundalini is active, if only for a fleeting instant. Do not chase after this experience, dear one, nor become anxious if it does not come often. The wise seeker cultivates stillness, purity, and devotion, and leaves the rest to the divine. When the time is right, breath will pause on its own, and in that silent breathlessness, you will feel the presence of your eternal self. Simply witness it with reverence, and let it pass like a gentle blessing. Beloved soul, as we bring this sacred reflection to a close, remember, the path of Kundalini awakening is not a race, nor a display of outer miracles. It is a gentle, inward blossoming of awareness, a return to your true, eternal nature. The signs we have spoken of today may appear in subtle, fleeting moments, or linger quietly in your life without announcement. What matters is not their intensity, but your awareness of them, your quiet reverence, and your steady, humble devotion to the path. Yogananda would often remind his disciples, do not chase spiritual experiences. Seek God alone, and in that seeking, all that is needed for your awakening will be given. If you have recognized even one of these signs in your life, honor it, but do not cling to it. Continue your sadhana, your daily practice of meditation, selfless service, purity, and devotion, for it is through consistency and grace that the inner doors open wider. If, dear one, you found clarity or comfort in these words, I invite you to stay connected on this sacred journey. Subscribe to this channel, for I regularly share wisdom from ancient yogic teachings, the words of great masters, and gentle guidance for sincere seekers like you. And if you know someone walking this path, perhaps a friend, a loved one, or a fellow meditator, share this video with them. Let us, together, create a circle of awakened hearts, quietly lifting the world with our inner light. Until we meet again in the stillness between breaths, may peace, wisdom, and divine love ever dwell within you. Om Shanti. Om Peace.